Welcome to Agent from Within, the podcast that helps agents get out of their own way, listens to regular agent stories, not just all the top producers. Yes, we'll have top producers, but it's also a fully designed coaching system built here for you to get coaching, be inspired, be connected, but most of all, get yourself out of your own way. There's a whole lot more than just making a ton of money as an agent. If you don't know how to build a business to serve your life, you're gonna run around with your chasing your tail, feast and famine. Guess what, guys? Let's build a business with purpose. Agent from Within is here to serve. Cheers. We got someone named Trent Smith. I'm gonna get him to introduce himself. So if I'm a little nervous, I could imagine that everyone on this show is gonna be a little bit nervous, but I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna break the ice as our first guest of the day. So welcome to the Agent from Within podcast. Marathon, whatever we're calling it. But Trent, you're the first one out of the gate. So guess what? If this is a train wreck, it starts right now, or it's not.
I love train wrecks.
Yeah, man, we can't lose. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for jumping on. I truly appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, that was a great introduction. You know, the whole spiel you did there, I really enjoyed all that. So
awesome, man. Why don't you tell everyone where you're from? Well, we've kind of got that on the screen, but let's do it anyways for the audio version. Where are you from? How long have you been in the business?
Okay, well, I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so I'm technically not from Tampa Bay, but I moved here 4 years ago because I was just ready for a change. And at the time, I was doing drafting at an engineering firm, but the reality is that job doesn't really pay what I really wanted to make. I wanted to make some big bucks. So I waited tables, and I had this idea one day. I had lost my engineering job right before I moved here. I was waiting tables and I was slinging pizza. That's what I did before that. And I had this epiphany one day. I was busting a table, and I'm like, I want to do this. I like the sales aspect of this job. I liked interacting with people and meeting people, and I had a pretty good personality according to other people. So I'm like, what can I sell that's not a $3 slice of pizza, maybe something bigger? Yeah. And of course, I thought the biggest thing I could sell, which was real estate. I mean, you can go all the way up to commercial, multifamily, $42 million.
Yep.
But I'm doing residential now. But so I liked to do sales. So that's where I came from. And then I moved here. I got my real estate license 2 years ago, and I'm sitting here now.
Awesome, man. Well, so 2 years in the game. These are the people. There's a whole bunch of people that are 2 years in the game that are going to relate to you, Trent. Yeah, your story is very similar to so many, right? You're in a career. It's a professional career. You're either getting tired of it or you lose the job, and you're like, let's do real estate. So let me ask you something. From when you're looking at becoming an agent and this dream about making these big commission checks and making money this way, what's it been now 2 years in? Like, what's the reality of this process of starting? And I'm not saying it's negative. I'm saying, like, what is the story now that you've been in for 2 years? What's your perspective now? Like, what did you learn so far?
I learned what everybody else learned, that it's a lot harder than it looks, and it requires fine tuning lots of different skills. I think that's why the dropout rate is so high, because people come in thinking that a whole bunch of deals may fall in their lap, and maybe they will, but they built, if you have a bunch of deals falling in your lap, you've built whatever works, like subconsciously or consciously, but it just requires a lot of work and a lot of practicing and learning how to be better at a lot of different things, which was kind of the difficult thing for me.
And so here's the thing. When you come in, what would you say the top things are that you need to learn? Like, if you had to say, okay, you're starting, give some advice to some new guys right out of the gate. 2 years in, you've got some authority in the 2 year in category. So, like, talking about new real estate agent struggles, right? How can we help these guys? Like, what would be the advice that we could give them?
Well, the best advice I can give is just to go all in, because for a while I was doing my engineering job during the day, and then I would go home and just make cold calls until like 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Totally.
But the one thing I learned by doing that was, once I did have deals, then I had to spend all my after work time and weekend time catering to my clients. So I was not able to prospect anymore. So I would say, number one, number one, if you're newer, go all in. And I would suggest to have some saved money. I had about 6 months of saved income when I went full time, which is a good comfy number. But also, you don't want to be too comfy too, because you'll just take days off. You're like, I'm good for 6 months. I don't need to work today. So 3 to 6 months. And the first thing I did when I went full time was I joined a team, and I knew this team over here in Dunedin, which is about 15 minutes away. I needed to get good. And how do you get good? You surround yourself by good people. So that's the second thing I did. And one other thing, like you said, you're doing this podcast live today. This is your first time doing it. You're like, I'm just going to do it. That's really important too. Like, just take action. Yeah, you might suck at first.
Love that.
You just got to just go knock doors. And, if you have to read right off a sheet of paper to these people, ask them if they want to sell their house, then yeah, do it. It's going to be hard at first, but just think of it like practice.
It's in what I'm seeing is a mindset, is a inner confidence. And I feel like it's so many times we hear good answers. That's a great answer, Trent. Like, it's the right answer, in my opinion, with the experience of coaching agents and all that. It's like, take action. It's like, well, how do I find business? I'm like, go ask for it. Well, what do you mean? Just ask? Yes. It's going to be brutal. Yeah, at first it always is. Let's get reality. But here's the thing. What I'm seeing is a good mindset. Like your mind, like it's almost like the asking is almost like the advice seems secondary to your mindset, because your mindset's like, let's go get it done. That mindset is almost like what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Like, you can give people advice, but if they don't have that inner driver mindset, I think it's just a matter of time where they do quit.
Yeah. Mindset is definitely the most important thing. And every single person with money in the bank will tell you that you have to win the daily battle between your ears. So
that's true, isn't it? So tell me this. I've got you had a question. I want to get right into it. I want you to explain it. So are we good on everything you've said on the questions? You're wide open. Is there anything off limits before I guess I should have talked to you before we went live, right?
No, just let me have it.
Okay, beautiful, man. Like, that's what this is about. I think we have a polished, agents are so polished that we think that everyone is making 50 to 100 deals according to all their social media posts. Like, they literally save up 20 of them and just start posting them every day. I don't know, but it seems like there's another side to real estate not talked about. And one thing I asked on the survey that I sent out is this: what does your real estate career cost you? You remember your answer?
Everything.
You wrote my marriage.
Oh man. Okay, so I got married when I was 30, and I was just so busy with work. And I was working my day job. I would come home. I would go knock doors, and my wife just didn't like that. And we just grew apart because I became this like kind of businessman. I want to run a business. I want to start from the bottom. I don't want to go out tonight because I want to save money. And she had a dialysis job. She was making like $80,000 a year. She was happy with that.
Great.
So we just weren't the same. Like, we just weren't on the same wavelengths. And it was always a tug of war. Like, oh, I don't want to go to Italy because I want to spend that $1,000 on my business. I find, and I get so jealous of like all the top people with the wives that are always behind them and supporting them. She just wasn't supportive, and I needed someone who was supportive. So we ended up breaking things off, and I started, dating around, and I found like a lot of other girls were very supportive. They're like, "Oh, you're so," like, they would just say such complimenting things, like, "Oh, you're pretty good at this," or "You can do this," or "Yeah, like you should just do real estate full time." And I realized that I needed maybe someone like that. So. And I also I had a full-time job, but I ended up getting let go because I was just kind of so busy.
For sure. So interesting.
I got a couple deals working. I had several deals working, and I was doing my day job. So I was stepping out, calling inspectors, calling my clients, things like that. And I really didn't. I had money in the bank, and I actually had been thinking about leaving at that time, but they let me go. They gave me a 2-week severance pay plus over 2 weeks of PTO. So it's actually good that I just waited until they did it because they gave me more money. So
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think a lot of when it comes down to relationships in real estate, I feel like I would love to see some kind of teaching, maybe even when you take the course on what happens in real estate from a relationship side at home. Like it just seems like everything is driven by sales and numbers. I just feel like as I obviously I have a family of 5 and I have my wife, and it's really, really important to me. But I see a lot of relationships just get completely killed in real estate, like legit, because it is that sense of grind. Like you're always waiting. You never, ever feel that security. And you feel like, well, when's the next deal coming? And you're right. Like, what if 3 months go by and you got no money? Why would I take a vacation? This is something I feel like, Trent, I'm on a mission to change this. I think that your story is inspiring because now it's like, it's almost like, why would we get rich and then be lonely? Like, it just seems like a really conversation that I would love to see these conversations a little more mainstream. That people don't really know. Maybe there's a book to be right saying the cost of being a real estate agent.
Well, the funny thing is, the irony is when I was with my wife, I was broke. And then when we split up, I had the most money in the bank that I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, oh, there's some irony here, isn't it? Like I got the thing I wanted, but it cost me everything.
It's heavy, man. It's heavy, but life has its way of working itself out. You know what I mean? It does. And life is our teacher. It's a very, very interesting story. So now let's go back to this one question that I think that would really help someone. I see this everywhere, is that, can you do real estate part-time? I know you kind of alluded to it, but I do want to hit it straight on. Can you do part-time real estate and have a job? And then when do you transition? I know that you've talked a little bit about it, but I want to put that down as a thing. Like there's this question comes up a ton on all Facebook groups. Like, when do you, I got my license, but how do you do this part-time?
Well, there's a certain sense of urgency when you don't have a day job and you're full-time real estate. You're like, I have to work. In some cases, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Like, when do I quit my job and go full-time real estate? I think as long as you have a really good system that you develop, or maybe you work on a team that has a really good system, I think that's the most important thing, because as long as you implement the system, you'll get paid. So like I said, I had about 6 months of savings, and then, I went full time.
Yeah.
So I think if you don't want to do it full time, some people may be happy with just closing like a couple of deals a year. And it would be nice pocket money if you could do it. But
it's funny, that idea, it's a weird business, right? Because you get momentum and all of a sudden you got like 6 clients. There's no such thing as working with one. If you're working with one, you're probably eventually going to have 2, 3 referrals and it's going to grow. But like I see people have this dream of, oh, just do a deal a month. Like, I don't think that's how it works. It comes in like batches. That's why it's tricky, right? It's like you don't get a deal for a month and next, you got 3. That's kind of how this business goes, right?
Yeah. Like I said, you just got to go all in, and then it's like do or die at that point.
Yeah. You know what's funny? It reminds me of a session I did the other day. In my 12-week reboot, I have 8 agents in there, and we're talking about business systems. And it's one guy, he's probably going to watch this, and he's in our program right now. And he goes, I'm going to implement deal flow emails into some other systems that are really important to buy back time or whatever, and get his business going. And I said, great. When are you going to get it done? He goes, I'm going to have that done within 2 months. I said, how about 2 days? Like, we have this weird thing that we do, right? It's like, and he's like, I want help executing. I'm like, well, then do it in 2 days. It's absolutely crazy how much you can get done when you want to get done. So I feel like you're right. Like, having too much money, like if you don't have any money, you figure it out quick, right? Like, it's almost like you create your motivation. So I'm kind of with you. It's like, it's going to be a very big challenge for agents that are going to want to go part-time, unless they have, like you said, plug into a team. Maybe that's the way to do a part-time one. But if you want to actually make it a career, like the all-in is I think what I'm hearing, and I think that's really, really smart. Yeah.
And my problem was, when I was part-time, is I couldn't do all the things that I really wanted to do if I were a full-time agent. Like I could only make cold calls on a Monday night instead of like I could do now. I could just make cold calls and go door knocking and write letters. That's another thing I wanted to bring up, dude. I love writing letters. I got a stack of envelopes right there.
Nice.
Handwritten letters are the way to go. And I wanted to real quick talk about.
Let's go.
How you said that, just take the action. And then if you make mistakes, just figure the rest out later. I was sending out 20 letters a day, handwritten letters a day for sale by owners and homeowners that I was just asking them if they wanted to sell their house. The problem is I just took the action and I bought 4,000 1-cent stamps. I don't know if you know anything about the USPS, but you're supposed to have at least a 55-cent forever stamp or above. And I was sending out 20 a day for like several months using a 1-cent stamp. And what I found out what was happening is that they would not deliver it. They would give the homeowner a letter or some sort of slip that says, hey, you have a postage at the USPS office. Come by, you have to pay the 55 cents to get it. They would go there. They would pay the 55 cents. And
no way.
My business card, it's just, hey, you want to sell your house with my stupid face on it? And they leave me angry voicemails.
Yeah, they would be so pissed.
There's a lesson to be learned here.
I'd be like, dude, you're a dick. You just made me go to the friggin', you wasted so much of my time. I think it's a great story, though, because a lot of people get taken out by one of those things. Welcome to the game. Like, that's just the game. You got to try stuff. I love that story. So they would actually have to go to and pay to get your letter thinking, oh, this is going to be great. My open rate's going to be phenomenal. But my hate you rate was up too, right?
Yeah, it was not on purpose.
Awesome.
I'm just an idiot. So I'm just like, yeah, you had a letter, you put a paper in it, you put a stamp on it, it's good to go. Like whatever.
That is awesome story. I love that. I think there's some great stories in this business. It's one crazy business. So let me ask you this. You had a couple of things on your things, on your sheet here. Now let me talk about what's your challenge? You're 2 years in. What do you see your challenge as right now?
Well, my challenge right now, and I'm sure a lot of people do deal with this, is just staying consistent, like persistent and consistency.
Yeah.
Because sometimes honestly, I'll work half a day and then, 1 o'clock will roll around. I'm just scrolling on my phone and then I'm like, oh, let me, go to the gym real quick. And so it's all about developing the habits. They say, if you ever read the book, The One Thing, I'm a huge reader. They say it takes 66 days to develop a habit. So I'm trying to just get better at staying consistent with everything because that's probably the number one thing. I mean, I could just send out 20 letters a day every day, and then I'll start getting business just because I'm doing it so consistently.
Yeah.
So that would probably be my biggest problem because I know what to do. I know how to do it, and I've done it before. Sure. So, yeah, just sometimes I just get sucked into this like lazy mode.
So can I challenge you?
Sure.
So here's the thing, and it's almost like challenging the industry as well. Okay. So when agents come into this industry, I've never seen anyone say, hey, by the way, you're a business owner now.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think about this. I feel like, and what happens is you get so much on your plate, you know what to do, you don't do it, and then you go into judgment, which is this will take you out 100%. It's like running a race with 1,000 pounds on your back. Judgment is an inner game that just destroys us. We have to learn how to work with it because it doesn't go away very easily. It's just more like understanding it. The thing is, so we're like, I'm lazy. Women do this more than men, by the way. Lazy is a really interesting one. I run into that a lot when I'm working with the ladies. And it's like, laziness is a trigger. It's like, I'm not lazy. I don't know what it is. But we do this judgment thing. So now we're thinking like, but the thing is, I think the solution is not work harder, create habits. I don't believe that's a solution because it would have been fixed by now. Okay. See, we look at the results. Let's say, how's that working for you? Well, I'll just keep trying. Well, you're not getting results. So I just think, this is where being a business owner mentality. So for example, let's say you're a restaurant owner right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. So restaurant owner, but before you start, you say this, hey, Ben, I'm going to start a restaurant. And I'm like, oh, cool. He goes, yeah, I'm going to do the hosting. I'm going to serve. I'm going to cook, clean after, and then I'm going to do the bookkeeping, all the marketing. I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to go, you're an idiot and you're going to fail.
Right.
That's how I see real estate agents joining the career. They're like, yeah, I'm going to kill it. I'm like, oh, so I hired an assistant literally within the first month. I didn't even have any business because I was a business coach before I was even an agent. And so I'm like, I realized, holy crap, no one's taking this as a business. And it's exactly a business. That's why burnout. That's why intense. Like, how about this? If you're not doing it, outsource it. Get some freaking person for what's your minimum wage right now in Tampa Bay? What's minimum wage?
I think something around $7. I haven't got
$7. We're 15 here. It's crazy. So check this out. So let's say we're going to go $3 over minimum wage, $10.
Okay.
And I can buy 60 minutes of a human being's time for $10. Are you kidding me? How many letters could this person write for 1 hour? Give me an example. How many letters?
Probably like 40 to 50.
Holy shit. So for $10, you're now not lazy, you're smart. It's a $10 solution, but instead we think, how can I find time? The thinking's wrong. So if you have someone to write these letters and execute it seems like a very simple system. And you said, if I could just do it consistently, I'd be getting business. And then what happens is I'm an inner game guy. So it's like, you don't wake up every day with that pressure, which is going to affect your relationships, going to affect your ability to sell, going to affect your mental game. Remember the battles in the head? Let's solve that by paying $10. What? Once a week? So we're at $40 a month for your marketing system.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You got to find the person that's going to do that for $10.
Do it to $20.
Huh?
I bet you. See, so what happens is you instantly. Okay, so I'm going to go straight with you. Okay, I'm going to pretend like you've. If you want me to challenge you, this is the thing: instant resistance, right? Well, you throw an objection up instantly. It's like, oh well, if you can find that person, dude. There's. I'm like, it's not like, yeah, cool. I'll put an ad out. See the two different thinkings. One is resistance. One is let's go.
Yeah, thanks for that. I should think like that now. Like, how can I do? Where can I find that?
Yeah. So these are the things about this. So I realized a long time ago, I'm like, I'm not really a real estate coach. I just help people get out of their own way. And because this is an example right now, because it's like, we could go into going like, hey, let's read 50 books on how to, no, what are you doing? Why are we doing the hard way for $20 a week? Someone just writes 40 letters and sends them out.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good idea.
So if you think a little bit different, like a business owner, which was you can't run a restaurant without a dishwasher.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So watch what happens next. Now you're going to have to look at running a budget.
Right.
But you could for $10 or $15 to buy 60 minutes of time, that's the greatest hack of all. And I don't see anybody teaching that to real estate agents. They're teaching grind it out, create habits, consistency. Because no one's saying build a business. Business owners don't even think like that. Those are workers. I hire workers. I hire people that grind it out for me. And guess what happens? You 10x your income. Like, just let's go through this now. Let's play this game all the way through, okay? So now you've got this person sending 40 letters a week. Let's talk about this. You've done this on your own before. How many calls, how many deals do you think you could get from, let's say, 160 letters sent out? How many solid leads?
How many solid leads? It could be maybe 1 to 3%.
So what's that work out to be? I'm not that good at math. So what's that work out to be? A couple deals?
1 to 4 leads.
Let's say one deal. What's your average commission?
I normally do 6% for listings and then 3% for buyers.
So what, $5,000 you get? I don't know what the Florida market is.
Yeah, we right now it's between $200,000 and $300,000 is like the lower end of the houses. So yeah about $5,000. So
5,000. So watch this. This is the fun part, okay? And we're not talking about compounding this thing at all. We're talking just straight, no referrals, no filling the funnel. We're just saying 160. That's going to cost you, let's say, $80 to send out, right? Because that's $20 a week to do this thing. You have to do stamps as well, right? Or do you? Okay. So what's that? 160 times what? 50 cents. So that's another $80, right? So you're looking at $150 marketing plan to make $5,000.
Yeah, no.
And mentally, you're not writing letters, even though you like it. and it's easy to do. You've just created more capacity to serve your clients, because once you start rocking and rolling, there's no chance you're writing letters. So what happens is, now that you've got your letter system going, you could be just, all you do is do deals. And that machine runs 24 hours a day on your own. It always is going out. I'm just saying, just taking a little bit of a different thinking approach.
No, I like that. It's absolutely right. And sometimes I don't really want to knock doors, so maybe I should just get somebody to do that for me.
And that's the thinking. So some stuff can be outsourced, some stuff can't. But when you look at it as a 60 minutes of time, how much work can get done, and you break it down. See, most people think about hiring a whole assistant, or no, project hire. You know how many moms with kids would love to make $80? Like, you will actually be serving them. And that's what's so cool.
Yeah, no, I like that. I should definitely, I kind of took some notes here because I'm a note taker. So
yeah, it's awesome, man. That's awesome. So Trent, do you have any questions? Do you have anything you want to just tell the world as we kind of get near our time? Do you have anything you want to say that's like, I'm going to say this, and or any questions that you have?
Well, I did want to definitely recommend people to read, like make reading a habit, because I think reading is very important. They say every CEO reads like 60 something books a year or something crazy like that. You always hear that. So I definitely, if anyone's ever read this one, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it's definitely a must. And this is a good book to develop systems with. One thing I like that they say in here is they say, the 3 L's. Have you read this book?
No, you know what? I barely know how to read, so I do Audible. That's my thing. So I hack it that way. I haven't read that one. I hear that's one of the top real estate books, so there's no question.
Well, the 3 L's are leads, listings, and leverage. So get the lead, get the listing, and leverage the listing. So you can take one listing and do an open house and get 3 buyers from that one open house with your listing. I also wanted to recommend, I just read this book, Blue Fishing.
My buddy Steve Sims. You know him? Oh yeah. Yeah. So I've had him on my podcast. I've done some stuff. I went to a jail with him, and we went to this DeFry jail. So yeah, I know he's kind of in my circle. So Steve, he's a good dude.
You met him?
Oh yeah. I know.
Well, if you ever tell him, I love this book. I read it in like a week. And what I love about
this hold on, hold it up. I'm going to text him right now. Okay. Just wait. Send him. Let's just. Okay, I'll send him a note, okay? And I'll be like, I'll send him a message and be like, dude, why are you freaking getting on my show? That's bullshit. I'm trying to talk about real estate here. Next, Blue Fishing's on the screen. I'll send him something funny.
Okay. Well,
he's watching now. Yeah, he's probably not watching. But anyways, I think
he's call me, man.
Super practical, and he's customer experience, and I just freaking love that. That's how we connected. He was on my other podcast as well. If you want to hear him, go to From Within podcast. And he's got a couple shows there. We've actually coached an agent together once. I think he's been on my show about 3 times. So From Within, the podcast.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
Maybe,
I love that book because he talks about just doing all the little things. He would take a receipt and it'll be a bar tab, and he would just be like, hey, I was thinking of you, put it in a letter. And I just think that stuff like that is so cool. I think about stuff like that all the time. One thing I do real quick when I meet people, and I just thought of this randomly I just started doing this randomly one day, but I'll meet someone, right? Like I meet you, we talk. I'm like, hey, by the way, what's your number? And then I'll get your number, and I will text you a selfie. I will take a picture with you, and it's just so silly. And everybody thinks it's so funny when I do this. I'll take a selfie of us, and then I'll text it to you, and then I'll text you all my info. By the way, hey, and I'll tell you.
I love it. Love it.
Next time I text you, you'll remember what I look like. And that's just that's the kind of stuff that Steve Sims does. Yeah. It's just kind of cool stuff like that. And also the one thing, and I'll let you go here. I think we're up against the clock.
It's all good, man. I got a little buffer time just in case you're a good guest. If you see me cut him off in 15 minutes, it wasn't a good guest. No, I'm not just joking. We got a little buffer room, so it's okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, the one thing is a really good book. It just talks kind of along the lines of systems and how to break the ceiling and thing. I just love the one thing. So that's
the book. The One Thing.
It's called The One Thing. It's by the guy that actually wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Believe it or not,
Gary Keller,
Jay Papasan. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to add is that I just think it's super important to read or audio podcast or whatever, audiobooks. But the thing about reading is that you have to sit and you have to focus and you have to you can't be driving, you can't be at the gym reading. I mean, I guess maybe, but it's kind of like a meditation thing for me, at least, where you kind of turn off everything and just kind of look at a book for 10 minutes. It's important. And working out is also important too. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going a little over time here because I'm curious. Okay. So what do you want? So the real estate business, you've got your real estate business, but what do you want from it? Like what do you want is the question. What do you want?
What do I want? Well, good question. I have it written.
Here's his board, his dreams. He wants rentals, travel, drums, dogs, teach. This man has thought about this. Okay, cool. Very cool. So here's the thing. The reason why I asked that question, it's the biggest question I ask most people. And if we get into it, a lot of times in real estate, when I say what do you want, and you've obviously done a lot more thinking about it, and it shows on your board that you've got music, you've got rentals, you've got different things, which is really great because a lot of real estate agents will focus on a deal number or focus on money. And it's like, we always forget, like, why. Like one time I sat with a guy who wanted to coach with me, and he said, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? He goes, 50 deals. I said, okay, cool. That's great. We can do that. No problem. But here's the thing. What are you going to spend the money on? And it was like a deer in the headlights. He's like, I think I gotta join your program. I'm like, I think, yeah, you do, because you don't even know why you're doing anything. And that's where people get burnt out, and they go through all these things, and they just keep chasing. But if we don't have a purpose behind our business, I find people just, they ended up very, very unhappy, even if they can make a lot. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, well, I have a long history in playing music, and I sold all my drum sets a couple years ago because I didn't know anybody in town. And I'm like, man, I just really want to play music again. And I want the financial freedom with rentals so I can kind of just have everything paid on a monthly basis. I'll still do real estate. And I mean, if I could just have, like, my dream house would be just a house with a bunch of land. I would have like 8 dogs, just like a huge fence, and maybe like foster dogs who are older that are because my dog's in the other room, but I just have one now. And I also like to collect watches, and this is just my kind of one of my beater.
That's a beaut, man. I like that one. That looks awesome. Yeah, what is it?
It's a diesel. It's not probably like $300 watch, but I like watches, I like shoes, and I do have tattoos. I want to get more. So yeah, that's why I wrote those up there.
That's
because
awesome,
if I'm ever in a rut, I'm like, hey,
what am I doing this for? That's the thing. It's so good, Trent. So good. I think even you and I talking about this is going to be really good, because a lot of people might just have that question, be like, yeah, what am I doing? So hold on. Did you buy any drums yet?
I'm getting there. I'm going to maybe wait till I get like a huge $1 million listing, take that commission. I actually live in an apartment right now. So
I can see people just hate you, right?
But I did get a keyboard the other day. Nice. And that's one thing that I really miss. So that's my first step in the integrating back in the music, which is something I thought I didn't need, but then when it was gone, I would just dream about it all the time. I would dream about
man. Wow.
Like I would dream about playing shows, and I'm just like, wow, that's something I should really get back into.
You know what's funny, man, is that most of the people I work with, I always say, what do you want? And it's like most of the time they're not doing what they want, and they do what you just did. So yeah, when I get $1 million deal, I'll do it. In some weird way, we have this, like, I just think, what could you do today to even get one step closer to what you actually want? Because the one step leads to 2 steps to 3 steps. Like maybe it's just a snare drum. Maybe it's just one of those African drums. I don't know, but I'm like, my thing is this: if we wait, like too many people wait, and then why, we need to live today. That's just my belief, and don't mean to impose it on you, but I just feel like this is why I do push a little bit, is because that will fuel you in your business beyond anything in this business. Because how good are you? Like when you're playing drums or doing music or whatever it is, does that energize you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
How good are you at 100% in the field when you're out there doing real estate? How good are you? I see your personality, man. You're probably really good when you're on. Would that be right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like, especially when I have a bunch of momentum and I'm just
see, that's confidence. That's confidence. Now let's go to the point where you're 50% energy and you're kind of down. How good are you in the real estate field?
Oh, I'm 50%. I'm making some calls, but I'm also doing a lot of scrolling. I gave my roommate all my control all my controllers and remotes and stuff for during the day. I'm like, do not let me get distracted by this stuff.
So all I'm saying is this. When you show me your board, I see drums, but I don't just see drums as a waste of time. I see it as your absolute nitro fuel. And so this is the thing. I've worked with lots of people. And if you do things, we set aside the things that don't really make us money. It doesn't actually serve us. It's such an indirect thing. Look at your energy. And if you're at 100% energy, you don't need a 45-day habit. And that's the hack. Like, we can get incrementally better with discipline. But if your energy's at 110, you don't need discipline.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, is that the value, the drums or whatever that represents. And it's like, that's the message I'm trying to say. So many people stop doing what they love and just grind. And I'm like, where's your fuel?
Right. Yeah.
Where's the fuel? And no one's talking about fueling the agent. So I'm so focused on the agent behind the business, because I'm like, I've seen, you can have the best race car in the world, but if you don't got a good driver, you literally lose. But if you have a good driver, almost any race car can be competitive.
There you go.
So the inner game, that's the inner game, right? So I'm going to leave you with that, man. I think go bang on some drums, go fire yourself up. And I think this will be an introduction to our relationship. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you, and we can, and that'd be great, man. You can touch base anytime and connect. But thank you so much, Trent, for jumping on, and you got a killer personality, man. And I really appreciate you being super real with us today.
All right. Hey, I like meeting you formally, and I will be tuning in the rest of the show in and out when I'm not banging out phone calls. So
yeah, man. And this will be now edited. It'll be cut. You're going to have your own show. We're going to launch it on our podcast so people can listen to it. You'll be able to share it. I feel like, again, a lot of top agents get a lot of the air. And I think that regular guys out there that are in the thick of things have a lot to share. And that's what my mission is. So
I like that. That's very good.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. I'm going to take you off the screen, and we've got Toby Groom sitting there waiting for us to jump into the next one here. So we'll go. Thanks, Trent.
Okay. See you later.